So allow me to give you all a major shout out for receiving an offer of admission to UBC. Congratulations, your hard work paid off, and both UBC campuses would be very lucky to have you as a part of their community. I'd like to welcome you all to our first year finances student panel, which is the second installment of our virtual destination UBC student panel series. Today's student panel will provide you with the opportunity to hear from current UBC students from both of our campuses who are happy to share their first year financial planning experiences and any tips and advice they think might be useful for you. A quick overview of today's 1 hour session. We will begin with our panelists sharing those experiences and advice, which might help to answer some of the questions that you may have as you transition into your first year at UBC. And after that, we will move into a live Q&A session where you will have the opportunity to ask your questions directly to the panelists. Again, a friendly reminder, we will not be monitoring the chat for questions today, so please save those for the live Q&A portion. And we will also be sharing our contact information at the end, just in case we don't have the time to get to all of your questions today. Before I hand it over to the students, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Kristen Davis, and I'm an Indigenous Recruiter Advisor and an alumna of UBC's Faculty of Science. I'm joining you virtually today from the unceded and ancestral territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples here in Vancouver, BC. And I hold immense gratitude to the people who have stewarded those lands since time immemorial and continue to do so to this very day. I would also like to acknowledge that UBC's Okanagan campus is situated on the unceded ancestral and traditional territory of the Syilx Okanagan Nation and their peoples, and UBC's Vancouver campus is situated on the unceded ancestral and traditional territory of the Musqueam people. Please feel free to drop into the chat where you're all joining from today, as we recognize the original stewards of those lands as well. There is a great website you can all use to find the traditional territories you are currently located on. You could visit nativeland.ca, which I've just dropped into the chat, just to check out those territories as well. So welcome to student panel number 2, first year finances. And I'm going to hand it over to the student panelists. I will see you again during the live Q&A session, and I leave you in the very good hands of these current UBC students who you are all waiting to hear from. For those of you who attended our first student panel last week, you'll recognize our superstar student moderator, Dylan. Dylan, please take the mic from me and start your introduction.
Kristen, it would be a sincere pleasure. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. I appreciate it immensely. But hello, my friends. I'm so glad to recognize a few of the names out there in the chat in the participant list. It's a sincere pleasure to be joining you all once more for this incredibly valuable student panel. And not only am I glad to be joining you, but I'm also delighted to be joining you each with the incredible panelists that virtually sit alongside me as we discuss today first year finances and some of the best practices, tips, tricks that we learned, that we used, to speak a little bit more to our lived experiences. With that being said, if you didn't see me this last week, then let me go ahead and take a few moments to introduce myself once more, and then I'll pass it on over to the rest of my fellow ambassadors, my fellow panelists, to speak to their introductions. Then it will go back to me, and we'll begin our structured student panel for first year finances. A wonderful program, an awesome experience. So hello, my friends, my name is Dylan. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm originally an uninvited guest on the traditional and ancestral territories of the Duwamish, Coast Salish, and Muckleshoot people of Seattle, Washington, though I'm currently joining you each today from this traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Syilx Okanagan Nation and their people, where learning has occurred for many years prior and will continue to learn afterwards as well. And I have the sincere pleasure of joining you from these beautiful lands. With that being said, my friends, I am a third-year undergraduate here at UBC's Okanagan campus, where I am pursuing a Bachelor's of Science and double majoring in medical molecular biochemistry and political theory. So quite literally the best of both worlds. It's a sincere pleasure to be with you each once more. I'm delighted for this incredible panel where we're going to find some interesting, fascinating best practices about finances. With that being said, I'm going to pass it on over to my fellow friend, Dio, excuse me, to introduce themselves and to pass on along the panelist line.
Hi everyone, my name is Tammy Dyer and I'm joining you from the Musqueam territory. I am a fourth year student majoring in Honors History and International Relations, and I'm very happy to be here to answer any questions and have a conversation about finances. I'll now pass it on to my colleague, Kara.
Awesome, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Kara. I'm over at UBC Okanagan at the Okanagan campus, and I am in my 5th and final year of my honors in biochemistry and minor in psychology. My pronouns are she, her, and I am joining you today from the traditional ancestral unceded territory of the Silks Okanagan Nation and their peoples, which is actually comprised of 7 different tribes and members communities. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it off to our next panelist, Cece.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Cece. I am joining you from the unceded ancestral and traditional territory of the Hunkaminam speaking Musqueam people. I've been a guest on their lands for about 3 years, and I'm so thankful for the Musqueam people for being such generous hosts. I use the pronoun she, her. I am currently in my 3rd year at the UBC Vancouver campus, studying in First Nations and Indigenous Studies with a minor in Law and Society. And now I'll pass it off to Noah.
Hello everyone, my name's Noah. I'm in my 5th and final year of the Bachelor of Arts in Indigenous Studies. My pronouns are he, him. I'm joining you from the unceded Okanagan Silk Territory. I am also part of the Okanagan Nation, the Upper Nika Indian Band, and I will now pass it back on to Dylan.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, my friends. So as you all know, we've got some incredible panelists joining you all today, some incredible ambassadors that are about to speak to their student experiences. So with that, let's get started. Now, we recognize that even though you have the motivation and the potential to be a UBC student, congratulations again on your admission. We all know that scholarships, awards, and family contributions may not be enough to cover the cost of your degree. Our policy on financial support declares that no eligible Canadian student will be prevented from attending UBC for financial reasons alone. With that being said, a lot of us have those same questions that arise. What is it like to be a UBC student, our first year, and how can we use our best practices so as to go about the all too intimidating financial process? So that's what today is about. Today's student panel is designed to alleviate some of those concerns, to provide some of our experiences, and to provide some perspectives so that you each are able to conquer this upcoming fall term with confidence, as you each ought to, just because you are incredible students, and we have the sincere delight to welcome you to our respective campuses. Now, with that being said, our responses are going to be about 2 minutes long, but I'm going to invite all of the panelists to be able to respond to the particular questions. And I think we ought to get started now, shall we? Are you all excited? I know I am. Yeah, all right. I see some head bods. Yep, Cece's got thumbs up. Noah's clapping. I love it. I love it. So friends, before we begin with our first question, I'm curious, we have the reactions available. So for all of our student panelists, if you've worked on campus before in a part-time job while being a student, would you mind go ahead and react with a heart? And I'm going to also react with a heart because I too am currently serving in a work position, in a work capacity as a student ambassador. Oh, look at that. Perfect. So we have experience from all across the board. So for the first question then, my friends, for a little bit of context, can you each share a bit about your on-campus work experience? So again, try to keep the answers to about 2 minutes. And I think we'll start with Tuidayo, and then we'll go to Kara, and then Cece, and then we'll jump on over to Noah.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Dylan, for the first question. My work experience. So my work experience at UBC started in my 2nd year. I was a collegiate advisor, and that's a program for first-year students who decide not to opt into living on residence for whatever reason. They have a space of their own where they can relax, cook, and just engage with other fellow community students. And it was a great experience, helping students build that form of bond. And then I got a return offer to be a collegiate advisor, but however, due to the pandemic, it turned into an orientation and transition leader position, helping students all across the world, first-year students all across the world, transition to online school at UBC. So having friends, getting the university experience while also doing online school. And currently, I'm a recruitment project assistant, and I engage with projects and presentations that get high school students like yourself to join UBC, apply to UBC and accept their offers. And I was fortunate enough to be part of the team that organized this panel. So on to Kara.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, on-campus positions. I currently am serving in 3 different on-campus jobs right now, one of which is the student ambassador role, which is where I am joining from. I'm wearing my student ambassador hat per se right now, which I have the pleasure of working alongside with Dylan and Noah and the other 2 lovely Vancouver ambassadors when we do our cross-campus collaborations. I also serve as a peer mentor, which is a really great program. All first-year students coming to UBCO will be automatically, I want to say entered, but you can withdraw if you'd like, into a program to match with a peer mentor. And I actually currently have 550 undergraduate science students in my community, and I meet with them. Some of them I meet regularly every week. Some of them I just send emails to, but it's been a fantastic experience getting to help them navigate all the hurdles and challenges and fun times and stressful situations of first year university, because it is a bit of a learning curve. My third and final role is the Destination UBC student coordinator position, which is a really great position where I help organize and facilitate our Destination UBC programming. But that being said, I want to pass it off over to Cece.
Hello, everyone. So I have been working with UBC Indigenous Enrollment through the UBC WorkLearn program as one of the UBC Indigenous Student Ambassadors. Through WorkLearn, I get to craft my schedule catered to me and my availability. I also get paid higher than the minimum wage here in BC, which is a plus. I'm not gonna lie, it's not. And these 2 factors are why I promote WorkLearn so much to first years, because most first years don't know about this program. Through WorkLearn, there's a wide variety of placements that can be catered to your interests. For example, me, I want to work with an Indigenous community at UBC, so my keyword was Indigenous, and multiple jobs postings pulled up, and that's what you could do, whatever your interest is, if that is public speaking or working behind the desk. WorkLearn is an opportunity to invest in yourself skill-wise and experience while doing your studies at UBC. The time commitment for the winter session for WorkLearn is about 10 hours a week, and you get to like fix that up. And yeah, I love all my bosses and all my coworkers, and it's such an amazing field. And it should say something if I stayed in this position for 3 years. I absolutely love it. But now I'll pass it off to Noah.
Awesome, thank you so much. I'm currently in 4 positions right now, and I've had 2 other ones besides that. But my first one is I'm a student ambassador. Aside from that, I'm an Indigenous peer mentor, so very similar to what Kara was talking about, but solo just for Indigenous students. I also sit on the Indigenous Strategic Plan for UBC Vancouver and Okanagan. And then I'm also part of the adjudication committee, so I review applications for Indigenous student-run projects on campus. And my 2 other ones that I've done is I've done a Indigenous summer camp coordinator. So I helped plan and run summer camps for Indigenous students for about 2 weeks. And then my last one was I was a resume reviewer over in advising. So I would help people look over the resumes, offer tips for editing them. And it really is just, I think it's really cool how many positions you can actually get on campus. I really never knew about all these opportunities until I came here, but I'll pass it on to Dylan.
Oh, goodness, thank you all so much, my friends. So as you each can tell, there are just an absolute wide variety of perspectives. And as Noah had so wonderfully articulated toward the end there, so many incredible jobs that you have access to. All you have to do is go out there and look for them. And you too can serve in many of these same capacities. You know, the ambassador team for the Okanagan campus is hiring right now. So we're hoping to get a few more ambassadors in. So definitely stay tuned. And if you all will be joining the Okanagan campus, look to that future advertisement to join our team as well. But there are a myriad of different positions that you can hold across campus so as to be able to earn while you learn and to address those finances. But wonderful, my friends, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your experience, your perspectives. And now we've got a few questions that we're going to just go through and ask. I'll open this up to all of the panelists, but for you, my friends, joining us today, use this opportunity to explore and envision yourselves working alongside campus and to explore those particular experiences and resources available for you each as well, as you each will be joining us in the very near future. All right, then. So my friends, our next question for our panel, can you share with the students where, like on campus or perhaps websites, you can go to search for work opportunities on campus? Would anybody like to answer this one in particular? Okay, perfect. All right, Temidayo, I'll toss it on over to you. And then Kara, absolutely. We'll finish off with you as well.
Yeah, so in Vancouver, on Vancouver campus, there's this website called Careers Online. And so all the work-learn positions, part-time positions on UBC are over there. And if you would like to work for the AMS, which is the Undergraduate Society, their positions are also on their website. So those are two places you could look. And on Careers Online, there are sometimes opportunities of off-campus job too. So off-campus part-time jobs, you can find it there. And if you're interested in research or maybe specific roles, like having a conversation with your professors might also be a good option, because professors like to hire students who are interested in the subject they're working on. So that's also another way to find jobs on campus.
Yeah, I can jump in a little bit with that as well. So on the Okanagan campus, we have something very similar. Noah and Dylan, I'm sure you're familiar with it, but the UBCO Student Job Board. It's my go-to, my favorite thing ever. Sometimes this is a little bit funny, but sometimes just for fun, I'll go on there and browse like positions open because they sound so cool and so interesting. And they also have some spaces for volunteer capacities, but as a side note, that's a really great resource. Not only does it have positions that are opening all around the Okanagan campus, there's positions opening all around Kelowna and the Okanagan. So even if you want to work off campus, careers office has spotted for you, and they went out and partnered with different career officials and representatives. And the really cool thing too is that with the close-knit campus community, once you start working for UBC, you're kind of getting this like little web, and you hear things and you're always kind of updated. So one of the jobs I have right now, I was actually contacted to apply and put into that position, which I wouldn't have done initially. So that was very cool as well. But yeah, and of course, you can always go to our student experience office and talk to our Get Involved leaders. They may offer a variety of different resources, not just working, maybe volunteer as well. But if you say to them, you're looking specifically for a part-time job on campus, they will definitely be able to point you in the right direction, and also share a little bit about their own experience and how they navigated working as a student. But with that, I'll pass it back over to Dylan.
Oh, thank you so much, my friends. So you have heard it here first, folks. Searching for jobs can actually be fun. And I completely agree, Kara. It is a true delight. And Temidayo, that's a wonderful, brilliant example as to how the professors can also help foster that on-campus work experience. I myself am a work study student and have the capacity and the ability to work alongside some of my professors in the emerging field of healthcare reform and equity and policy. So it's a true delight and an awesome opportunity to be able to explore my passions whilst also earning a little bit on the side. Well, thank you so much, my friends, for sharing those perspectives, those insights. Our next question for you all, drum roll, if you will. Can you tell us about your experiences and any tips / advice on applying for scholarships / awards? CC's already right out the gate. I love it. You know, perhaps this could be about staying organized, external awards, perhaps, or any internal UBC bursaries. So I'll pass it to CC first and then on over to Noah. Thank you so much.
Sorry for being a little quick with my raised hand, but as for some tips I can share is, one, most importantly, is start looking early for scholarships and awards, and just make a little document or a little piece of paper and write down the awards that you're eligible for and mark down when they are due. So it's like all in your calendar, just down, so you can look to it without coming to June and you're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed, I don't even know where the awards are. This will help you, one, as like I said, be more organized and ready to go. And it's more of a stress reliever than anything, if I have to say it. Another one is what I learned the hard way is saving all your essays and answers to questions that you're asked while you're applying, because most of the time they will ask the same question or same prompt over again. This does not say copy and paste it and just send it off. You, of course, make edits to it to more individualize it to the application you are applying for. And then I guess my experience is, because I'm a late person, I like to procrastinate. I left till the last minute to do everything. Please don't be a me. And if you are a me, like, get ready to be like stressed 90% of the time writing it. But yeah. I can pass off to Noah.
Awesome. Everything you said, I totally agree with. I would have said the exact same thing. Kind of thinking of another tip that I have is when looking for scholarships, definitely like you and a friend can look together and try using different keywords when searching. So you can actually filter through a lot more, a lot faster. So when me and my friends look, like I'll use First Nations and they use Indigenous, and then Aboriginal, or like look First Nations scholarships BC, and the other person does Indigenous nationally. So like you can really filter through a lot more, way faster than yourself having to go through all that time and hassle. You can kind of get 2 birds with 1 stone with that one. Another tip is definitely make sure you read the requirements, because I have definitely accidentally applied to a women's in trade scholarship before, which don't know how that happened, but I just was applying really stressed, kind of like I'm definitely like Cece, a last minute person, and I didn't even read one of the major requirements and sent it off. And when I got like the denial back, I was like, oh, that was a bit awkward. But definitely make sure you're reading like the requirements for the scholarship, so you can make sure you're kind of putting your best foot forward. But I'll pass it back to Dylan.
I am unmuted, or I am muted. Cece, Noah, thank you so much. Wonderful advice. I love the sharing of the essays and the keeping of the essays for future use, of course, with edits. And then Noah, the keywords, absolutely fantastic. And like you both, I too am a procrastinator. That's okay. You know, we still get things done. We still do well, but it is a little bit more stressful. So my friends out there in the audience joining us virtually, remember to time manage. It truly does make the world of difference for you. All right, then with that, let's move on to our next question, shall we? Over now to number 5. All right, well, friends, can you tell us about student funding opportunities? You know, there's one particular student funding opportunity referred to as the TUM Est Award. You know, possibly what is it? Are there other opportunities as well? And I'll open that up to the panel. Is anybody keen to answer? All right, perfect, Kara. And I think, you know, just for time, we'll keep it at Kara, but over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dylan. Hopefully I answer all the TUM Est related inquiries in this little answer right here. But yeah, TUM Est is a really amazing award for the Okanagan. It's run by the Student Experience Office, and it really kind of highlights the whole motto for UBC, TUM Est, it is yours, or as I like to think of it as, make it yours. So essentially, TUM Est is here for you to support you along every single step of your student journey. And they want to help you get funding for things that you might not be able to normally get funding for. So what I mean by that is if you want to start your own student club, your own student association, if you want to host a conference, if you want to go to a conference, and even if you want to do some really cool things, like if you have a club or an association on campus and you want to further your club and you want to pay for a speaker to come in and talk about their incredible experience, or your club is first aid and you want to bring in a first response team and have them train you all at a higher level, regardless of whatever you're thinking of or you wanting to, TUM Est is here for you to support you. And I know in the past, various projects who received TUM Est funding have definitely varied dramatically. I know some of my friends have received funding and have gone on trips to fellow universities to speak over there. And likewise, I in the past, actually my first year, brand new to university, and I applied for the TUM Est funding, and my friend and I received it. And in our first year, we were able to fly down to UBC Vancouver to attend the Student Leadership Conference. So that was very cool. TUM Est covered our flights, our hotels, our food, everything. So it basically was a really great way for us to go and experience SLC for our first time as first years, while also being supported by UBC. And now my final year, over the summer, I just received TUM Est funding to speak at the National Chemistry Conference with a professor that otherwise would have costed me upwards of $1,000 for sure. So very much appreciate TUM Est. And really, if you have any questions related to TUM Est, they actually host tea, they call it tea with TUM Est, which is basically like a drop-in session. So you have any questions, if you're not sure if your idea is one that could be funded, even if you want funding for something small, like a Canva description, if you want to have your own Instagram page and you want to make really pretty graphics. It can be as large or small as you want, and really they'll walk you through every stage of the application process. So highly recommend that for sure.
Oh, goodness, Kara, that was everything and more. Thank you so much for that response. I appreciate it immensely. And that's a resource that I personally wasn't too entirely aware of, despite being a senior ambassador on the Okanagan campus. So thank you so much for that. I learned something, and I'm sure that my friends out there in the virtual world also learned something as well. So folks going to the Okanagan campus, you're more than able to utilize that resource for all of your academic and personal aspirations, your personal professional development. as well as to be able to create that UBC journey to truly make it yours, as we say. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Kara, for sharing. And it is a brilliant testament to how a top 40 university can truly support you in your endeavors. Right then, my friends, so moving on to our next question, I believe we're going to keep these responses probably within a minute and a half, but I'll introduce the question for y'all. So can you share any lessons you learned, particularly regarding budgeting in your first year and the changes you made to help you succeed in the following years? Anybody, Timidayo? Perfect. And then Noah. All right, we'll go Timidayo, then Noah, pass it back on over to me, and we'll get started with the next question. Thank you so much, friends.
Yeah, so definitely after 4 years, I can definitely share I've learned a lot about budgeting. And so in my first year, well, I was, because usually I was living on residence, so there was a meal plan and whatnot. So I made a budget for each of my variable expenses. So like how much do I want to spend on breakfast, lunch, and dinner? How much do I want to spend on like eating outside with friends? That means not on the meal plan. And then I also decided to think about what's the best place to buy certain things. Like if I need to buy cereal, definitely not buying it at Shoppers because they might be more expensive. So that wasn't a good idea. If I need like toiletries, maybe buying it at Shoppers would be a better idea. Stuff like that. And then also deciding to sleep on expensive purchases. So if I want to buy something that's a bit more expensive, I'll sleep on it for a few days before making a purchase so that you don't do any like impulse decision. So those are a few tips that I've learned along my way. On to you, Noah.
Everything you said, I 100% agree with. I was really bad with my meal plan my first year. I literally spent it all before the end of the year ran out. So that was kind of funny. I know that happened to me and a lot of my friends. When somebody I know spent it almost all at Starbucks. So definitely sticking to a budget. Like I think as cliche as it sounds, it's honestly like one of the best ways to make sure you're kind of staying on track. And you don't have to like beat yourself up over like how strict it is, but definitely just kind of watch like what's coming in, what's going out. And especially if you have a job, or if you have certain payments like with a credit card, making sure you're kind of tracking what's coming in, how much is going out for like groceries and expenses. And also you want to save just a little bit if you can for like little fun activities that you want to go with your friends on like a weekend trip or anything like that, so you can still enjoy your time here. But I'll pass it on to Dylan.
Thank you so much, my friends. Such brilliant advice. Those are budgeting tips that, despite me being in my third year, could absolutely take advantage of and use, because I love that sleeping on big purchases, Timidayo. That's something that I am notorious for doing, those impulse buys, whether it's just purchasing on an empty stomach or elsewise. Definitely being a little bit more conscious with my spending. So thank you for that. I took away some very valuable lessons, and I'm sure that everyone joining us today did too. So Noah and Timidayo, thank you so much. All right then, friends. So that brings us to our very last question of our student panel before we move into our informal panel, where you all out there in the virtual world will be able to ask us questions with regards to your financial questions using our Slido platform, which we'll discuss in a moment. But before we get started, my friends, and you know, this question is just so important that I would rather you each answer it if possible. We'll just decide on the order in a moment here. But, you know, we've just spoken to a few of the lessons learned for budgeting in first year and the changes that were made following from Timidayo and Noah. So thank you both for that. But could you share with our students here joining us today, our newly admitted UBC students, your best budgeting tips? You know, what did you find to be your best practice? So I'm thinking, you know, just to shape things up, let's go with Cece, then Kara, then Timidayo, and then Noah once more. So sorry, Noah, you'll be at the end again, but Cece, over to you.
So my best budgeting tips is investing in a budgeting notebook, basically, or just like a piece of paper, or go digital, like I went digital, and find out what are actually your needs and what actually are your wants. That was very hard for me moving to campus and being in control of my own money. It was like, I need this McDonald's meal because I already ate 6 times today and I just need more. But that's just a want, not a need, and I don't need to spend money on McDonald's, for example. And then yeah, the next one would be at the reserve like a day, a Sunday works best for me, and go over all of your income, and then see when your bills are due and just write them down and have them in your calendar, just so you're on top of your bills and so you won't get late fees, which results in paying more. So these are all things I had to learn hard, but at least I'm passing it off to you guys, and you guys don't have to have that hard wake-up call like I did. But yeah.
Thank you so much, Cece. Kara, would you like to share a little bit of your perspective and insight?
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks, Dylan. This is a really great question. And I would say one of the best things for me when I first came to UBCO was just exploring the official budgeting basic page. So if you just Google UBC Okanagan, or I'm sure there's actually one similar to UBC Vancouver as well, and the same tips and tricks can be applied regardless of campus, which is fantastic. They actually give you a list of resources in what they call their financial toolkit, and it actually has PDF documents to help students know their credit, helps you stick to your spending plan and understand what budgeting is, as well as the different forms of financial assistance programs available for students. And also lists fun ways to have fun on campus for cheap, which is also really fun. A little tidbit, and everything that was already said, I completely echo. Tamadio, I love that idea of sleeping on it before a big purchase. I think that's fantastic for sure. And also something that I've learned is some kind of waiting to spend on big purchases or using it as a reward. So if I know I have a really busy week and I'm like, oh, I could really use this really cool drink, or I would love to go out for a dinner at a really expensive restaurant, it's kind of my motivation. I'll make a plan and say, okay, I'll get for the week, and then I'll reach out to a friend and we'll go, or something like that. So I won't, I'll try to hold off a little bit and kind of make it as a reward as well. But with that being said, Noah, I'm curious and I'm excited to hear your tips and tricks.
Yes, thank you, Kara. Okay, so one of my main tips would definitely be try to watch mindful spending, mindless spending, sorry. I am definitely really bad for that. Like always going to Starbucks and be like, oh, it's only like $4 or $5 a coffee. Like that's not too bad. And then all of a sudden it's like the end of the week and you spent like $30 at Starbucks. And that is definitely not something you want to be doing all the time. So I quickly realized like that is not attainable for every single day of the month. So it's as easy as just having a to-go cup and just pouring coffee in it and just taking that to go to school. And that is probably one of my best tips because I've wasted too much money on coffee now. And then I just finally learned a couple years ago to bring my own mug. But I'll pass it back to Dylan.
Oh, thank you so much, Noah. But I'm actually gonna pass it down to Tamadio because I'm curious as to what they have to also say with regards to those best budgeting tips.
Yeah, thank you, Dylan. So my best budgeting tip will be to think of your expenses based on your time or like your hourly pay. So for illustration purposes, let's say that you're paid $10 an hour and there's this purchase that is $50. Then you can decide, oh, is this purchase worth like 5 hours of my time? Maybe that'll be easier to conceptualize and then make a decision. And based on different people's priorities, that could be different. So a $50 jean might not be worth like $50 to like have fun with friends. So, you know, but that could help with budgeting.
Oh, I absolutely love that. The conceptualization is brilliant. I mean, by being able to put it into the context of, you know, what you would be not necessarily sacrificing per se, but the effort and the work and the endeavoring with which you have to input so as to receive that reward. That's fantastic. And I mean, that's something that I personally do, perhaps a little bit unconsciously, subconsciously, but something that, you know, looking back, I ought to reflect a little bit more on and to consciously use to be a wonderful budgeting role. So thank you, Tim Dio, and thank you to all of our panelists for those incredible perspectives. I know that I appreciate immensely, and I'm almost certain that our students do too. Well, with that, my friends, that concludes our structured student panel. Those are some of the questions that we developed in advance of today so as to be able to hopefully answer a few of those questions that everybody has, those common normal questions about going into your first year of university, in particular at UBC, and how best to address those financial questions. So I hope you each learned something. I hope you each were able to gain some insights, some perspectives. We're taking notes the entire way through so that you all will be able to use those best budgeting tips this next year. I hope you all were able to learn about a few resources that you can use to sculpt your UBC journey to make it as unique to you as you would like.